Today we're going to take a stroll down Gucci Glock Lane and look at a Glock 19 Gen 4 that's been converted into a Fowler Industries Mark II. Before we do that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can get notified of all the reviews that happen here. Also, standard disclaimer, I work for other 1911 and 2011 companies, so I'm kind of biased, but I think that all guns matter. So you're not going to hear me just bash some company because I want to. I think that if a gun's selling, there's obviously a reason for it. So I try to find the positives in it and maybe find out what their marketing department has been overreaching on, just to let you know, but give you kind of a background insider look at guns and stuff that I find interesting. So getting right down to it, I work, like I said, in the 1911 and 2011 market. So the Glocks, whether it's stock or customized, it's not really something I know a lot about, but I can give kind of my opinion based on what I've seen. I've owned a few Glocks, and this is currently the only Glock that I own. So that kind of gives you an idea of my depth of knowledge on plastic guns. So getting right into it, the custom Glock market is real interesting to me because you're taking a gun that is very, very reliable and you're adding a lot of things to it that aren't really going to change, hopefully, the reliability. Some of them will change performance, but to what degree is kind of, up to the beholder. So custom Glocks, something that I like. I bought this gun. Now, I actually had two of them. I had an opportunity to buy two of them at a really good price. And I had a Gen 5 and a Gen 4, both Glock 19s. They were a little bit different. So what I did is I sold one of them and kept the other one. So the Gen 5 seemed to be more desirable. So I sold that one and I kept the Gen 4, and I've actually shot this quite a bit and I've been carrying it. So just getting started, let's start at the bottom of the gun. Standard for any custom Glock is to stipple the grip, because the standard grip texture on a Glock is just not really existent. It's not there. So what Fowler has done here is a really nice, very, it's not the grippiest stipple job I've ever felt. It doesn't feel like sandpaper, but it does do a really good job when you're hot and sweaty to keep your grip going there. So a real nice texture, really clean lines. They didn't over stipple. So sometimes I'll see some frames that have just been over stippled where everywhere has been gunsmithed to the max. So they also, on this one, kept the finger grooves. I don't care if the finger grooves are on there or not. Some people despise the finger grooves, so they have to get rid of them. So like the Gen 5, didn't come with finger grooves, so there weren't any on it, and people really like that. I don't really care. So finger grooves stayed on it. It has a really nice smooth undercut. I'm a big fan of putting undercuts on frames. Anything you can do to get your grip higher is going to help to mitigate that recoil and get a much higher grip up on the gun. So it's a double undercut. The first undercut here, and then the second on the front here for your support hand to get up underneath. And it has, not this finger actually, this finger, but it is textured. So they did go up and stipple that. So your support finger is going to find a nice place to be at home. Moving right on up, the difference from the Gen 5 to the Gen 4, the 5 had a scallop around the magazine release. This one doesn't. I don't care. I just think that's a preference thing. And then next up is the trigger. So this is, as far as Glocks go, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with different Glocks, it's a pretty average custom Glock trigger. I measured it on my Wheeler pull gauge, and it's a Lyman. I have a Lyman pull gauge now. So on my Lyman gauge, it came out to be just under 5 pounds. Which to me seems very, very heavy. I mean, over 4 is going to be normal for a duty weapon. Most departments are going to require at least a 4-pound pull. And this came in right at 5. So it's pretty heavy, but getting into it, I'm super biased. 1911, 2011s, those are my triggers. But as far as Glock triggers go, this isn't bad. So when you get on it, it's Fowler Industries' own trigger shoe. It's got a good amount of movement. And the wall it's there. It's not incredibly defined, but it's more defined than a lot of the stock Glocks I felt. So you just give it a little bit of a pull, and there you go. So right at 5 pounds. I average of 10, it was like 4.9 pounds. The reset is, it's pretty sharp. Not the sharpest I've ever felt, but it is definitely sharper than a stock Glock. And then just going right on through. Yeah, I mean, it's a good Glock trigger, for sure. So it's, yeah, I mean, 5 pounds, if that's what you're looking for, you got a 5 pound trigger. Coming up to the top end, some of the things that they did on the gun, they changed the spring weight, the recoil spring weight from 16 pounds to 17 pounds. And that may have caused me some issues. I'll talk about that in a second. They put a stainless steel guide rod in. And the stainless steel guide rod, I suppose, is to add a little bit of weight to the front of the gun. It's not going to add a ton. Like if you added tungsten, it might add a few ounces. But it doesn't add a ton of weight to the front of the gun. So it's just something that looks nice on there. Really nice cuts. The machining on this gun is really good. The slide is DLC coated. So if you looked at any of my videos before, you'll see I'm a big fan of DLC. So DLC is diamond-like carbon. So it's very tough, not showing any signs of wear from holstering and unholstering. And I go straight out of Kydex, which, you know, anybody with a custom Glock really should be doing that. On this particular gun, it came with the stock Glock sights relocated in front of the optic cut. And the stock sights are too low for a co-witness, and they're cheap and they are just crap. So I had to replace them. I forgot what brand these are. It was the only brand that I could find with a blacked out rear. I don't like anything on my rear sight. It gets busy. And a green fiber front standard. So it's a tube that you can change out, but I like a green fiber front when I'm running a red dot, and I got this from the Staccato P with the Duo system. The green in the front doesn't distract me from picking up the red dot. So it's just a co-witness that I like. Blacked out front, green, or blacked out rear, green fiber front, red dot. It just seems to be the least busy. Slide cuts. So they've got one on the top, two on the sides. Honestly, this looks identical to what they're doing currently for the Chris Costa gun, except the Costa gun doesn't have the top cut. So I couldn't tell you what's different from this Mark II to the Costa Fowler Mark II. Maybe it's the same gun. They just said, hey, let's close this up so lint doesn't get in there. And Chris is like, yeah, let's do it. Slap my logo on it. Let's make it happen. So, you know, I think it's pretty close to the same gun. Now, getting to something that is a little bit of a point of contention for me, and that's the barrel. So the barrel is a Barstow Gunsmith Fit match grade barrel. So everyone's going to say their barrel is match grade, and that's going to be talking about more the accuracy of the barrel itself, where the round is seated in the chamber, so how it's chambered, you know, making sure that everything is within spec. That's a match grade barrel. But really the accuracy from your barrel, if you have an accurate barrel, is going to come to the fit on your slide. So these are all Gunsmith Fit. So it's a very tight barrel. If you push on the barrel hood, you only get a little bit of movement up and down. So like if I stop the slide from moving, there's a little bit of noise from moving it up and down. So I get it close to the mic here. So there is a little bit of movement. That's not the slide hitting the frame. That's the actual barrel moving in the slide. So it is fit, but it's not the tightest fit I've ever seen in a barrel. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, it's titanium nitride coated, which is really, really hard. I don't know what it is on the Rockwell scale, but it's very hard. Some of the rounds that I have pulled out of the gun, so I'll chamber it and then extract it. It dents the round because it is a very, very hard coating. On the feed ramp, it's just taking chunks out of your bullet. So if you want to reload your brass, which I don't, after going through a titanium nitride barrel, they're pretty dinged up. So I don't know if you're really going to be able to reuse that brass. So getting back to this barrel in the fit, one of the things that I saw on the website, oh, and I don't even know if I said this, they retail for $2,300 is what the closest information I could find on what the Mark II Gen 4s would go for in this configuration. That's a good amount of money. I'm going to be honest, that's a pretty hefty price tag, but it is a very good gun for that amount. So, but getting back to this barrel and some of the other specs, one of the things that I saw on the website is they say this barrel can do better than 1/2 inch accuracy at 30 yards. And that makes me stop for a second, because if you do the math on that, I put it into a ballistics calculator or a MOA calculator, 1/2 inch at 30 yards equals 1.59 MOA, which means that the barrel should be within an inch, 1.6 inches, okay, at 100 yards. Now that's a pretty hefty claim to make on a Glock barrel. Most Glock 19s or even Glock 17s that I've seen ransom rested are anywhere between 2.5 and 3.5 inches at 25 yards stock. So to go from 2.5 to 3.5 inches down to, and I've seen worse, but going from that down to a 1/2 inch at 30 yards is pretty intense. And I'll give you a comparison from that. So this right here is a target. This is right at 1/2 inches at 25 yards, this test target. And this test target is not from this gun. This test target is from this Alchemy Custom Weaponry Prime 1911 in 45 ACP. So this was built by Rob Shawland. Disclaimer, I work for Alchemy and Cabot, so I'm very, very biased to these guns, but I know what goes into a gun to produce this kind of accuracy at 25 yards. This barrel has no move in it. The barrel to bushing fit and the bushing to the slide fit is hand lapped. It takes a lot of time to make a gun this tight in a 5-inch gun to produce a little, I think this is probably like 0.6 inches at 25 yards, okay? So you're telling me that a 1-inch shorter barrel at 4 inches that has a little bit of play in it is going to be a 1/2 inch at 30 yards. So it's going to have better accuracy than this gun, which has a lot of extra work that goes into it. You know, I don't know. The problem is, who's going to be able to prove it wrong? Who's going to get out on a ransom rest and put it and get it all set up and know how to use a ransom rest and test it at 30 yards? There's a lot of stuff that goes into accuracy. So it's possible that this gun could produce it, but when I saw a 1/2 inch at 30 yards, you know, 1.6 MOA Glock 19, you know, that makes me think that that's a little bit of an overreach. So I don't like it when companies state stuff that just doesn't seem plausible, that really can't be proven. But maybe it is, and it's the most accurate Glock I've ever seen in my entire life. So that's entirely possible. Now, moving on to the packaging, it comes in your standard Glock box. It comes with 3 magazines, 3 of their 15-round Glock 19 magazines. Normal stuff. They even kept the stock extra back straps in the box. The only extra stuff that really shows that it's a Fowler is going to be, you have a FI patch, and somewhere in one of them there was a King of the Hill patch. I'm not sure what that was about, if it's supposed to come with it, but it came with the gun. So, you know, packaging really didn't wow me, especially considering the price tag, but the gun definitely does wow. So it is a very flat shooting, very smooth Glock. The trigger pull, even though it is a little bit on the heavy side, I think, for a custom Glock. Maybe that's because it's a Gen 4 and they're not known for having the best triggers to begin with. So there's only so much they can do with it. But even all that considered, it's very flat. You know, talked about accuracy. For as accurate as I am, this gun is way more accurate than me. As with, I'm a super average shooter, so every gun is more accurate than I am. Now, the only issue I had was slingshotting the slide when I'm inserting a new magazine. So I have a habit of always doing slingshots on slide lock reloads, and that just comes from shooting 2011s. My thumb is not big enough to reach the slide stop on a 2011, so I always have to come up over the top when I do a reload. So it's one of those things that I didn't want to train myself to use the slide stop. God, that's even hard, just like for my brain, because you never drop the slide on an empty chamber on a 1911 or 2011, so it's just not good for them. So for me, it's like I do that, and inside I cringe. So anyway, for me, just coming from 1911s and 2011s, it was difficult to get my brain to want to use the slide stop / slide release. Technically on a 1911, it's a slide stop. But anyway, so coming up over the top and doing a slingshot, I had no problems except for with Syntech rounds. So on the Federal Syntech 124, the bullet itself is flat on the front. So I think that combined with the extra pound on the recoil spring, when I would go to slingshot the slide, when I go to rack the slide after putting the mag in, I had some issues with those rounds specifically. None of the other FMJs or hollow points had that happen for me. It was specifically with those rounds. But honestly, I don't think that's because of the gun. I think it's because I'm just not used to it quite so much, and the extra effort that it takes to overcome the slide stop and that blunt nose round. So I just need to manhandle it a little more. But overall, super accurate gun. It is a great custom Glock, especially because this is understated. I see a lot of them where they're just doing a lot of crazy colors and whatnot. That's just, over the top for me. But if you are looking for something that's going to take a good amount of the trigger slop out and accurize it, and if you're looking to mount an optic to it with the co-witness in front and doing direct mount, because I've heard that the MOS plates have a tendency to break, the Fowler Industries Mark II, you really can't go wrong with it. And from what I've seen, typically they're selling for between $1,800 and $2,000. Like at Shooting Surplus, when they had them in stock, they had a lot of sales that had that pricing. So at $2,300, I think it's probably a little bit much. But $1,800, I think you've got a good gun that is worth the upgrades that are done on it. So that's my Gucci Glock for you.